how's your month been? It's been a busy one for me, but I thought I would stop and do a mid-month update. Welcome to the channel, Read Brucey. This is Jamie, just walking in the door from my vacation to Colorado, and I thought I would take a minute and film like a mid-month update, book haul, whatever haul. So grab a cup and we'll sit and chat for a moment. So first, let's talk reading. So since July the 1st, I have finished 7 books, and that includes audiobooks and some physical books. I think most of them have been audio, but maybe 1 or 2 physical books. So let's look and see what I have finished, and let's talk about them for a minute. So first and foremost, I finished Crown of Destiny by Ashton Dorow. I loved this book. Now you probably already saw my video on fantasy and sci-fi retellings from the Bible. This was kind of the star of the show. I loved this book. You need to read this book. This is a gender-swapped, fantastical retelling of the King David story. You definitely need to read this book. Okay, so it's the first in a series. That's the downside. However, I promise you it's worth your time. Next, I read Candy Apple Kisses by Amy Clipston. This book makes me want to rant. However, I still gave this book 3 stars. Okay? The characters drove me absolute batty in this book. I wanted to wring their necks, or the 3 kind of main characters, the 2 main characters and one of the side characters, I wanted to knock their heads together. But then I thought about it. And I thought, well, if the characters can make me this mad in a book, then that tells me that the author is a great writer. If she can make me not like the characters this much, her writing is still good. So I gave it 3 stars. But the characters drove me nuts. But it's such a beautiful book. I did have an eARC of that book, by the way. So that's that book. Then I read Spark of the Revolution. That's the first book in the Harbor Spies series by Megan Soja, or Soja, however you say her name. I'm sorry, I'm not sure how you say that. I gave this one 4 stars. It is the first in a series. I liked this book. It's, revolutionary. A girl and her brother come to join their dad in Boston and kind of end up at the beginning of the revolution, getting involved at the time of the Boston Tea Party, and she meets one of the Sons of Liberty, and that's who she falls in love with. So that is that book. And then I read Shortbread in the Highlands by Robin Jones Gunn. This is book 3 in the Suitcase Sisters series. Thoroughly enjoyed this book. I don't know if this one was as good to me as books 1 and 2, but I still thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm no means giving it any slight. Still a 4-star read. I just don't know that I enjoyed it quite as much. Can't really put my finger on why, and I was a little surprised, being I love Scotland. I loved the first 2 books in this series. It just wasn't quite a 5-star for me. Still good. Then I read Chains of Plans by Sarah Dessen. I had an eARC of this book. This is a secular YA book. Sarah Dessen is an author that I have read for years because, I used to be a junior high librarian. So I would read her books, kind of to preview them for my junior high kids. I did not like this book. I did give it 3 stars. Writing was still good. It just had things in it I did not appreciate. It was one of those books, definitely had themes and ideas in it that I did not think should be in YA books. It was one of those things that I feel like the author added stuff just to check boxes for the mainstream publications. Irritates me to no end. Next, I read The Secret of Avigdor, which is book 1 in the Redemption Pirate series. I'm sure you've heard other Christian booktubers talk about this by now. This is a book of Christian fantasy that has to do with like pirates. Also kind of has a Lost World or Jurassic Park feel. This was a 4-star for me. I really enjoyed it. I've already got 5 book 2 queued up, ready to go. And then while I was traveling to Colorado, I read or listened to the review copy of the audio book for Aflame. Now I have, which is by Roseanna M. White. I had already read this book several months ago because I was actually on the team for this book, the release team for this book. So I had an early review copy of the actual book, but also got an early review copy of the audio book, and so I was glad to listen to it. And I really was glad that I did listen to it because I feel like and I say I feel like, but I know my rating went up. It was originally a 4.5 star book for me, and now it's a 4.75 star book for me. I feel like this is one of those books that by listening to it, my enjoyment level went up. My one critique of this book was that there were a lot of voices, and sometimes I was unsure of who was speaking. And somehow the narrator helped me to understand and follow who was speaking better. So that was where that's what I have read now. So what am I still reading? I'm still working on Mansfield Park. Okay, I'm tandem reading that. I don't have a copy of the actual book with me in here at the moment, but that is what I am currently still reading. Oh wait, I told a fib. I do have it with me. Okay, here's my current. So I'm listening and reading. Okay, so I'm still working on that. I'm a little over halfway through. Okay, like I was working on listening to it today, and I had to take a break from it because I realized I was tuning it out. It's definitely not my favorite Jane Austen, but I do want to read all her books at some point, so I am going to finish that one. Okay, I'm also about halfway through Pride and Practicality by Pepper Basham, so I will continue working on that. I have an eARC of that, so I will finish that. I also started today. And the Shofar Blue by Francine Rivers, so I'll be working on that. I do have a physical copy of that book, but I am also listening to it on audio. I don't have the book over here. I will put a copy of that on screen. All right. So now the fun part. Let's talk about my trip a little bit. So I'm sure that most of y'all saw my shorts where I went to Colorado Springs. Okay, went to visit my sister and niece. So I didn't do like a lot of mountainy stuff because I've been there many times, and so that's not really why I went. Now, like I said, I've done that. We did go up and to visit some friends up in the mountains one day, so I didn't completely not go into the mountains, but really I just went to visit them. So the one thing that I did do is go to Focus on the Family bookstore and to Wits End. So I made shorts about that. And then I just went and did a few things around Colorado Springs. So do have a haul. So I'm going to do a little bit of haul. So on the first day, we went several places. So I went to a Salvation Army thrift store. I don't think I've ever been to a Salvation Army thrift store before. And I picked up several things. I picked up a Piercing the Darkness book, which I had just bought another copy of This Present Darkness. So I have a friend that was wanting to read them, and so I decided to pick up even though I had just put a copy of This Present Darkness in a little free library, I decided to go ahead and pick up another copy of This Present Darkness, and so I figured I needed another copy of Piercing the Darkness, and I'll give them to her to read so she can get those read. Okay. At that same thrift store, I found this teapot. Now, this was a bit of a beast to get home, and I did not need any more teapots, but if you know me and you know my love for this seafoam green color, you know this had to come home with me. And you know my love for teapots. This was not going to stay at that store. Okay? So, and this looks like it was hand painted, so I just really, really had to have that. So that was a must. Also, I found this little cup, and I wanted this one for my classroom. I thought this was just really, really cute. This has kind of that Nordic feel. I don't know why. I love that. All right. So we also went to Trader Joe's, which is a store I had never been to. I know it's kind of like the sister store to Aldi. Picked up a couple of tea there because I don't have enough tea, just like I don't have enough teapots. I have enough tea. Funny enough, I didn't even realize that this tea that I bought had peacocks on it, and if y'all know my love for peacocks, yeah, that's funny that this has. I didn't even realize that till later. But I bought this because it was a spiced chai. Their tea was cheap too. It wasn't expensive at all. That has an elephant here. And a monkey here. And the peacock. Okay. And then I bought this citrus berry. Both of them looked very, very good. So I got those at Trader Joe's. I did also, we went to a tea festivity tea shop, which I had been to before when I was out there. And I tried this lemon curd tea, and so I had to get some of that. Like I said, I don't have enough tea. So I got some of that to try. Well, I tried it there, and I got some of that for here. And one other tea that I bought. This I tried at Mardi Gras at World Market, and they had it in like a Mardi Gras container. And I didn't buy it that day, and I regretted it ever since. And then I found it later and still didn't buy it, but so I decided to go ahead and buy me some yesterday. It's Bananas Foster, which if you know anything about New Orleans, you know that's kind of their one of their specialty desserts. So it's not in the Mardi Gras tin, but they had samples of it one day when I was in World Market, and this was very good tea. Okay, so I got that. All right, also got a new dress because again, I need clothes like I need a hole in my head. I know you can't really see this, but I did get this really cute dress at Dillard's clearance, so very cute. It's good price on that because again, Dillard's clearance. All right, now to the part I know y'all want to see, and that is the books. So I went to a store and I forgot. I got so taken up with looking around. So Katrie and Josh, before they moved from Colorado Springs, had gone to a store called Born Again Books, I believe is the title of that store. It is a used Christian bookstore there in Colorado Springs. And so I thought the store was so cool. I had messaged Katrie about it, and I said, well, when I'm out there, I want to go check that store out. So I did. My sister and I went and checked it out. And those people were so kind. While we were in there, we got to chatting, and she asked me about military, and I said, yeah, my nephew is military, and in fact, he's deployed right now. She said, well, let's pray for him. And, that was such a kind thing, not even knowing that. I think that was Thursday, not even knowing the next day he was going to be in a situation where prayer would be a something we'd be glad to have. So that's pretty awesome. So these are the two books I bought there. We got Visibly Struck by Stephen Kubick, okay, or Steve Kubick. This one just caught my attention because it was like a novel based on the true experiences of George Washington. Now I know this comes a little bit too late for the Red, White, and June readathon, but it just looked like this would have been the perfect book for that readathon. So I thought I will add it to my collection because we might need it again. Okay. And then I bought this one because this one is set in Louisiana. I've read other books by Judy Christie. She lives in northern Louisiana, and all her books are set in small town Louisiana, and so I picked that up. Okay, and then on Friday, my sister and I, when we were at Focus on the Family, which the reason we went to Focus on the Family was to go to the Focus on the Family bookstore. And so while I was there, mainly I just wanted to look, but I did pick up a couple of books from their clearance section. One of them being The Seamstress of Acadie, okay, by Laura Frantz, okay. I've heard lots of good things about this book, and this was in their clearance section, so I decided to go ahead and pick this one up, okay. And then this one was $5, so I don't know anything about it, but it's Angela Hunt, and I do love her writing, and so I picked this one up. It's called What a Wave Must Be, okay. So I went ahead and grabbed that book. All right. And lastly, I picked up, because I looked at this one at the Focus on the Family bookstore, but I decided against buying it. And I don't have this on my official TBR for Jane Reed's and Caitlin's August reading challenge, but I think I want to add it, and that is the Inklings Detective Agency book by John R. Kelly. Okay, so I saw it at Mardell, which I don't know what's going on with Mardell exactly. That one in Colorado Springs doesn't appear to be going out of business, but they don't have anything. Supposedly they're resetting their stores or something. I'm not exactly sure. It's crazy. But I did go ahead and pick it up because it was a lot cheaper there. So, did pick up this one. So, that's my book haul from my vacation and my everything else haul. So, I've got a lot of reading left to do. Of course, I've also got a lot of other things left to do for the rest of this month, getting ready to go back to work. I will be jumping in feet first into back to school prep after prayer meeting tomorrow. So please say a prayer and know that we are going to be jumping into the thick of it. That being said, you guys have a good evening. Read Brucey out.